The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus and his disciples left from there and began a journey through Galilee, but he did not wish anyone to know about it. He was teaching his disciples and telling them, "The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him. And after 3 days after his death, the Son of Man will rise." But they did not understand the saying, and they were afraid to question him. Then they came to Capernaum, and once inside the house, he began to ask them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they remained silent. They had been discussing among themselves on the way who was the greatest. Then he sat down, called the 12, and said to them, "If anyone wishes to be first, he shall be the last and the servant of all." Taking a child, he placed it in their midst, and putting his arms around it, he said to them, "Whoever receives one child such as this in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me but the one who sent me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I'm reminded of a distinction I've made before, that actors are famous, saints are known, right? So the distinction between being famous and known, right? There's a desire in us, I think, that wants to be known or famous, in that realm of like kind of putting ourselves out there, but it can get really skewed really easily, right? To the point I want like all the attention on me or something. And so that's kind of more in the wanting to be famous realm, but I think there's a healthy desire to want to be known, right? And Jesus draws these lines very well for us, not just today, but in his whole scheme of things. That the man was known, he wanted to be known by us, and he wanted people to know him, right? But he didn't want to be famous. Okay, so we see that often, like even today. It says him and his disciples, they began this journey through Galilee, but he didn't want anyone to know about it. He didn't want to be like, "Hey, I'm coming to town, I want to be famous, come check me out." Because he wants a relationship, right? So we see this elsewhere where he heals people, and then he's just like, "Hey, don't go tell anyone." And they go tell it. Why would he say that? Maybe one reason is because he doesn't want to be like the famous miracle worker, and people just coming to him to be healed. Like, he wants the relationship, man. And to have the relationship, you have to be known. Get the distinction between famous and known, right? Actors are famous, saints are known. Actors put on a facade. Okay, the disciples kind of do that today. Like, they're discussing among themselves who's the greatest, And Jesus calls them out. They know they're wrong, But they're all about like, well, I want to be the best. I want to be the shining star, right? But they got flaws all over him, but they don't want to highlight that. They just want to sit at his right and his left. Okay, so they're kind of wanting to be famous. They're in the famous camp right now. But if you look like after Pentecost and when the boys go out to proclaim the gospel, they're now in the known realm. And you see this by the very fact, like look at their readings. Like when they write about Peter, they like openly say like, "Yeah, I denied the man." Like he said, "You're going to deny, I'll never deny you. Yes, you're going to deny me." And then he denies him. And he writes about it. Goes down in history over it. But he also talks about the reality of his love for the Lord and all that stuff. So he's known, the good, bad, and ugly. The guys after Pentecost are then known. Kind of get what I'm saying? So it's a kind of a fine line, but I just want to hold out. There is a desire in us to be known and to know, but it can get off track into the famous look at me grandiose kind of thing. And we don't want to get there in whatever aspect of our life it is. So what's the way forward? Jesus places a child in their midst. Childlikeness, that's kind of the way forward. And children, at least when they're little guys, are very sincere. Right? They're just sincere. What you see is what you get. Right? That's kind of the model for us to hold up in the way forward is sincerity. We all know what sincerity is, right? It is when we see somebody like, he's a sincere person. He's authentic. He means what he says. He's not perfect. He just is. and it's attractive. Sincerity. What does the word sincerity mean? Literally, break it down. If you break it down to its Latin roots, it means without wax. Without wax. What does that have to do with being a sincere person? All right, the story goes back to when, back in the days, and they'd order like a marble something in, a marble column or something like that. The guys that would sell it would often try to sneak by flaws in the marble by filling them up with wax. So you get this, it looks great, this marble thing, until you crank the heat up or something and melts the wax out of there, and then you see the flaw. Okay, so when you got a marble thing that was sincere without wax, you know what you got. And it doesn't mean the thing was perfect. It means that it showed its flaws. Like, I'm not afraid to, show my flaws as well. I'm not trying to cover up my flaws and present myself as this perfect guy. That's what sincerity is. It's not I'm a perfect person, but it's not being afraid to, it's not I'm a perfect person. It's being not afraid to show the good, bad, and ugly. It's not like you got to go hang your dirty laundry on the clothesline, but you're authentic, man. I ain't perfect. I've got these flaws, and I'm not afraid to show them. It's who I am. Instead of putting, our perfect picture with the biggest fish ever on Facebook. No, I didn't catch any fish today. It's just a reality. I'm not that good a fisherman. The good, bad, and ugly out there. It's where the rubber hits the road. Those are sincere people. That's the way forward. Sincerity without wax. Our Lord places a child in our midst. Shows us that. That's the humble road that lies not on the extreme of wanting to be famous, but to be authentically known. To present ourselves to others. I want to know you and I want to be known. That's healthy. That's human. Being famous is not. Avoid the extremes of being the actor, famous, but be like a saint. Be known.